are going to kick this off. I think I'm going to kind of talk through the first half and then kick it over to her because one kind of leads into the other. Oh gosh, it just like popped up with just like my big face. Let me get this view back. Okay. So I was really excited to talk about this because I feel like it's one of the things within Young Living that I love the most. And I think it really comes down to the community that you're creating. So if anyone on this call is on my team, you kind of know I always like to ask a question at the beginning of calls just to kind of get us to all think. And what I want you guys to think about right now is if people on your team were allowed to re-choose their upline, do you think that they would re-choose you to sign up with you? Or if they signed up with someone on your team, do you think that they would re-choose the team that you have helped create? And even more than that, do you think that people that are in your upline would want to choose you? So not only are you a good leader, but are you a good team member? I really want you to think about that as we're kind of moving through this call. And I really ask that because I think you always want to be in a situation where your organization loves you. And I don't mean that in like a vanity kind of way, but in a way where you are providing value to your team, your downline, and you're also providing value to your upline, into that overall team. And you want people to be really glad that they're a part of your team. And I think that there are a handful of ways that you can be successful in network marketing, especially when it comes to building the customer loyalty. But I think, in my opinion and in my experience, there's a few things that really stand out. And if you can find a way to really fall in love with your organization and give them a reason to fall in love with you and your team, you're going to be really successful. And I think it's really interesting just in like this digital world that we live in. Like we can literally connect with anyone on the planet, right? Like you can connect with an old friend on Facebook, you can connect with a random person on Instagram, or even like someone you used to work with on LinkedIn. But what I've come to learn through doing Young Living is that a connection is not a relationship. They're really two different things. And, you know, a connection is really just like a click away in the world that we live in, but a relationship really does require commitment and it needs time and space to grow. And, you know, we have access to connect with anyone and that has a lot of its benefits, but I think that especially within what we do here is we need to know that we need time to allow relationships to form for our businesses to do well. So I was reading this book. It was, I don't know, probably a month ago, and it was talking about relationship marketing. And I really thought that that was something good to talk about on this because everything it was saying, I was like, yes, yes, yes. It completely aligned with the way that I try and run my business. So I wanted to share it with you guys as well. But relationship marketing is really just this long-term strategy, you know, with focus on building close relationships with your customers. One, you guys, not only is it like cost effective to market to your existing customers, I mean, it's like 6 to 7 times cheaper, but long-term customers are less likely to churn. And the longer you have a relationship with that customer, the more profitable they become. And I think that there's a lot of not just companies, but also network marketers in our space that are still really focused on transactional marketing and less about building long-term relationships. And then they're wondering why they're not seeing growth in their business. And it's because that transactional marketing really puts the sale and not the relationship with the customer first. And it just leads to a bad customer experience, in my opinion. But I think that for me, and I think a lot of people on this call, they would agree that building that customer loyalty stems from building really good relationships. And I think that there's 3 ways to do that, at least, you know, in my experience. Is the first one is going to be build that emotional connection with people. You're going to also want a purpose-driven connection with people, and then really just leveraging your community. So when we're thinking and talking about emotional connection with your customers, what immediately came to mind for me is if you're an Apple user or you're a Droid user. Like I feel like there's certain things that people feel so passionately about that they're ready to like throw down over it. And it's funny because I'm like, when someone texts me and it comes up green, I'm like, oh, they have an Android. Like it's so annoying. Like get an Apple, get an iPhone. And then they'll be like, no, droids are so much better. And so I feel like that is the goal of what you want, right? Like a company like Apple or, droids like Samsung, they have created a bond so deep with their customers that if someone talks negatively or criticizes them, like their customers are really going to defend them. So I want you guys to think about Young Living. I know that if I hear something bad about the company, like I'm about to fight somebody. Like that is how deeply I have an emotional connection, not only with the company because I've had really wonderful experiences, but also you guys, I signed up with Chelsea Gray and she is mama bear. She is ready to defend anybody. And like, she has helped me create that emotional connection, not just with people on our team, but with the company in general. So, it's these feelings that you need to tap into in order to create that emotional connection. But why, right? Like, it's because the more people are emotionally connected as a customer to either your personal brand or your company, the more money they're going to spend because they see that it's worth it because they trust you. And I'm going to give you guys like a little story time, just real quick. So, there is a girl on my team and her husband own a coffee shop. And I've always ordered my coffee subscription through them because they literally have the best coffee. Well, several months back, my husband ordered me an espresso and that's all I've been doing. But I just love this girl so much. And like, I believe in what they do and they have a lot of purpose behind their company that I still have not canceled my subscription. So I just have like this stockpile of coffee. And so I give it out as gifts. And like I send it to my grandma because she uses K-cups and whatnot. But it's like, I'm not saying you want people to have this stockpile of stuff they don't want or need. But I think it just goes to show that if you're really creating this strong bond with people, like they want to support you no matter what. And I think that's a really good thing. So I think there's a few ways that you can really work on building that emotional connection as far as building that customer loyalty. And the first one is just building trust. And obviously that goes without saying that trust is just so important in every relationship. But as far as it goes with this business, you just want to deliver on the promises at every stage of your customer's journey. So when they first signed up, did you say, I'm going to follow up in 2 weeks? You better follow up in 2 weeks. Did you say that you were going to send them a welcome package? Make sure you send them a welcome package. Did you say, hey, I'm going to be teaching this class tonight. You should hop on, be there to like ask any questions and I'll be there to answer. Like, make sure you get there. Make sure you get onto that call and you teach that class. Don't just tell your customers that you're a trustworthy person. Actually show them that you are. Because again, you want them to say, hey, if I could re-choose who my upline is, I would still choose her because she followed through on all of the things that she said she was going to do. The next thing is really show your personality. So I think that a lot of times when we, like I said, in this digital age, we have these huge barriers that are between us because at least for our team, we're a global team. And sometimes that's hard because you don't necessarily get to see who that person really is. So it's just really important to bring that barrier down as much as you can and show your customers who you really are, show them your personality, show them what behind the scenes of your team looks like. That is building trust and also showing your personality. And that's why I say when we have calls like this, it's so important to take a picture, post it in your Facebook group, post it on your stories, give people a look at what your team really looks like and why it's fun, why you love being a part of it. The next thing is really to help people inspire confidence in them. So help people make this a little less overwhelming, like it's possible for them. I think that a lot of people are held back from starting their non-toxic journey because it feels overwhelming. They don't have that confidence in themselves to start that journey and take that step by step. So make them a wellness plan, help them do that. And then a lot of people, when it comes to business, they'll be like, I'm not good at talking to people. I don't think like I would be good at this, but I really want to. I'm like, well, why not you? If she can do it, why can't you do it? You have all of the same skills. You guys, you can all develop these things that you feel like you're not good at. So why not you? Help people build that confidence in themselves. And then the last thing with the emotional connection is really delivering a great customer service experience. It sucks because I feel like sometimes just like good customer service isn't enough anymore in the world that we live in. Like it really needs to be above and beyond and memorable. And luckily for us, Young Living is legit the best at this. But just know you're the first stop typically in that solution seeking problem. And sometimes it's frustrating. Sometimes you're getting people that are just complaining over things that seem really petty, but I'm going to help those people fix things with a smile on my face, because that is helping their journey and it's helping my business by providing them with that, enhanced experience of customer service. So they walk away being like, you know what, I'm always going to purchase from Young Living because I had a great experience every single time. So those are a few ways that you guys can really build that emotional connection with the customers on your team to help build brand loyalty. So the next thing I want to kind of touch on is establishing just a meaningful reason for why you're doing this business and why people should be on your team and stay with your team. And I want you guys to think about this. Like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this non-toxic journey with Young Living? Why did you choose Young Living? Why are you doing this business at all? How has it helped you? How has it helped the people that you care about? So, providing value, whether it's in the form of a testimony or content that you're creating for your team, or like I said, that customer service experience, that's always going to help strengthen the relationship that you have with your customers. And I think that there's a few ways that you can tap into people's, the hearts of people on your team, your customers, and that's by having a purpose. And a purpose, goes beyond sales and income. There was this TED talk by Simon Sinek, and he said in it that profit isn't a purpose, it's a result. And to have purpose means let me make sure I don't butcher this. Profit isn't a purpose, it's a result. To have purpose means the things we do are of real value to others. You guys, what we have here with Young Living is so special. And all you have to do is go into any Facebook group that you're part of and see people's testimonials. Like, I feel like I'm about to start tearing up, thinking about it, how many lives have been changed because you said yes to this. Share that. It might not be your testimony, but it's someone on your team, and that matters. That is the purpose for doing this, right? You might have your own personal reasons, but when you see those things, holy moly, is that not so powerful? And then when you just think of all of the things that Young Living does as a company in their philanthropic work, that is the purpose, you guys. And buying from Young Living helps support that purpose. And that's important because there is a lot of people in this world that are a lot less fortunate than we are. And we get to be a part of that. And everyone on your team that purchases gets to be a part of that too. So I want you guys to think about that. In his TED talk, he also talked about that customers are more willing to part ways with their budget when companies have a purpose. And he gave some really good stats that I wrote down because I thought that they were just pretty amazing. So he said 47% of customers buy from brands that support a good cause on a monthly basis. We can look at that just with, the Young Living Foundation. 53% of customers would not invest in a company that does not actively support a good cause. And then 91% of customers would switch brands if a different brand of similar price and quality supported a good cause. So in other words, you guys, being purpose-driven is a growth factor for your business. So think about it. What's your purpose? I can't help any of you guys choose your purpose, but hopefully it can help you to start thinking about what that is for you and the way that you're going to articulate that to your team and to your customers on a regular basis. And then the last thing I wanted to touch on is just leveraging your community to help you build customer loyalty. And I think when you have those deep connections with your customers and your brand is purpose-driven, communities naturally form. They truly do just naturally form when you have all of those things coming together from a really genuine place. A community, I think at its core is just, it's a vital group of your customers and who support and just promote more or less your brand whenever they can. I mean, there's plenty of people on all of our teams that are mainly customers, but if they have the soap in their house and someone's like, oh my gosh, where'd you get that? I want that. they'll either point them in the direction of you and give you that referral, or they'll randomly use the referral link, So I think that when people are feeling really emotionally connected, not just with you, but also that, again, that purpose-driven community, they're going to want to share that. They're going to want to promote that because it's something special. But those relationships still need that nurturing. So a few things that you can write down for how to do that is bringing your community together. So I think for most of us, our community is spread out on, multiple platforms, whether that's on Facebook, on Instagram, in person. And also, again, we have a global team. We're spread out all over the country, all over the world. So being able to bring them together on a regular basis, whether that is in-person events like convention or rallies or retreats, or online events like we're doing right now, calls, just fun events that you can do for your team, coffee chats. It doesn't necessarily have to be oils related, but an opportunity to bring your community together to create more of an emotional connection is really going to help you with that brand loyalty or community, customer loyalty. So make it fun for them. Like we've talked about that a lot. Like it doesn't just have to be education. It can be fun. Like Chelsea's doing like a Kahoot event, and I'm like, okay, I'm down for some online games. Like that's fun, and I think it gives people an opportunity to think outside the box with their teams. The next thing is listen to your community, you guys. I don't think I was as good at this my first year doing the business because I just wasn't. You learn as you go, but listen to your community. So your customers are reading the content that you're putting up. They're actually using the products that you are suggesting, and they're engaging probably more than anyone on your social media accounts. On everything that you post, they're likely the ones that are engaging the most. So when they do provide you feedback on things, whether it is the way that you're presenting things, more events that they would like to see, like you need to act on that and acknowledge your customers when you do that. That goes really far with people. And then also letting your community, promote you, and, your community is passionate. And I don't mean you like specifically you, but like Young Living, your team, whatnot. They want to spread the word and they want to bring their friends with them. Maybe they're not super active, but they want to do that, especially if they have this really strong connection with you as a relationship, but also with your team. So help them do that. Make sure that they know where their referral link is. The more that they bring people on, like their friends and family, the more loyalty they're going to feel to your business because they have now brought people on. So help them figure out the best way to do that. And then the last thing I had for you guys before I pass it over to Michelle is make the community about them. It's not always about you, right? Like shine a light on the people's work on your team and promote those people on your team for the amazing things that they do, whether they're a business builder or whether they're a really loyal customer. For example, today I went in my Facebook group and I did like a subscribe to save milestones. And so I highlighted people that had been on subscribe to save this month for 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, and 4 years. And I was like, holy moly, like what other places are people on subscribe to save programs for 4 straight years, you guys? Like that shows the kind of customer loyalty you have. That is a big deal. So highlight them, show them gratitude. It makes people want to be more a part of that when you do those things. And then, things like inviting people on your team to speak on calls. I know that seems really small, but again, it's inspiring that confidence in them and making them realize that they play a much bigger role in this community than maybe they thought they had. So giving them an opportunity to speak on the things that they provide value in, I think goes a really long way. But since we just talked about subscribe to save and the long term that people are on it, I'm going to pass it over to Michelle because this is kind of a perfect segue into that. But I hope that was helpful for you guys.
Tracy, are you able to make me a host so I can share my screen in a couple minutes? Before we jump into the next section though, I just want to challenge you if you are kind of struggling on where to start with building customer loyalty, think about what made you a loyal customer of Young Living. Was it the product education? Was it the community? Was it a testimonial that you saw? Like, what did it for you? And replicate that, lean into that for your inspiration. For me, it was seeing the passion of other people around non-toxic living. And that piqued my curiosity, and having all of the information readily available at my fingertips and having this Facebook community to be a part of, that is what kind of catapulted me into becoming a loyal customer, digging into the products, finding things that worked for me and that worked for my family. So I'll challenge you to think about that. So I wanted to talk a little bit about Subscribe to Save, because I think probably the best measure that we have on the loyalty of our customers is the percentage of our customers that are on Subscribe to Save. So if you don't know how to find that number, you can find it in the, Wild Insights app. It's free. And it's a percent on Subscribe to Save metric that measures the percentage of your customers that are on Subscribe to Save. I feel like people who are on Subscribe to Save are like our ride or die customers. They found the products that worked for them. They're loyal to Young Living. And the way to get so in addition to everything we've already talked about, I think it's really important to teach people the value of being on Subscribe to Save, so that they know that's the best way to get the products that they love or try new products that they're interested in. So a couple of reasons that Subscribe to Save is super valuable, in case you don't already know, is number one, the flexibility. So you can set things to process every 1 month, every 2 months, every 3 months. You can switch out your products every month. Like, there's so much flexibility around Subscribe to Save that it really doesn't make sense for somebody to order from Young Living without being on subscription. You also have the added benefit of loyalty rewards. So if their order is 50 PV or more, they're getting loyalty rewards points, which they can redeem for free products. So you're getting extra freebies there. And then on top of that, they're getting extra gifts with purchase when their order is on Subscribe to Save. So many extra factors that make Subscribe to Save so valuable for customers, especially when we're trying to convert our customers into loyal customers. So I wanted to just show you a couple graphics just to illustrate really like the dollar value of placing your orders on Subscribe to Save. Give me just a minute and I will share. All right, so I'm gonna walk you through. Hang on just a second. Trying to figure out, here we go. Okay. All right. Can somebody give me a thumbs up that you can see? Okay, cool. So here is the breakdown of what you're getting for free and what you're saving when you're ordering on Subscribe to Save. So this is all using kind of our April gifts with purchase. So for somebody who has maybe a 50 PV per month budget, I feel like that's kind of where a lot of people start with, like in the 50 to 100 range, like when they're just starting out as a customer with Young Living. So if they're ordering 50 PV per month, they're saving around $17 a month. They're getting about $5 a month in rewards points. So at the end of 3 months, it really starts to add up. So after 3 months, they've saved almost $50. They've earned over $15 in rewards points, and they can use those on free products. So for a customer who is like just starting out and they're just kind of dipping their toes into Young Living and the products, I think it's really easy to get into that 50 PV a month budget. That's where I personally started. And when I started, I felt really strongly about switching over our house to non-toxic products, but I didn't want to carve out additional money in my budget to do that. So $50 a month was really doable for me. That's $10 to $15 a week. That was my Starbucks trips, honestly. Like, all I had to do was cut out Starbucks, and that was my Young Living budget, to then make all of these swaps for my family. Now, if you have somebody who is looking to really cash in on the freebies and get started transitioning to non-toxic living, if you are in the 100 PV per month budget for your subscription orders, you are saving about $60 per month. You're earning almost $20 back in rewards points. This month, you're getting almost $90 worth of free products for placing your 190 PV order. And at the end of 3 months, you have saved $186. you've earned almost $60 in rewards points, so free products, and you've earned $268 worth of freebies. So that is when we're trying to, I'm a loyal customer of people that help me save money because I value saving money. And I know we just, talked about doing Young Living on a budget, but I feel like really communicating the value of Subscribe to Save to people is going to make them more loyal to Young Living because they really see that Young Living is giving them all of these free products. You can do it on multiple different budgets. You really have a lot of different options here on Subscribe to Save to really convert your house to non-toxic. I'm just hopping into the comments here. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, and as a brand partner, when you're on Subscribe to Save, sharing those freebies that you're getting, sharing your testimonials, doing unboxings. So I love seeing what people get from other companies, from Young Living. I'm just super interested in what people are using. And I feel like that's a really easy way to kind of let people into your life. Even if you don't have a testimonial for a product, you still know the reason that you purchased it. So if you are trying Copaiba for the first time because your friend told you that she used it on her teething baby, you can share that with people. And even though you don't have a testimonial on it, you're just giving them a reason why you're ordering what you're ordering. Another way I think, so kind of shifting from Subscribe to Save, another way that I have had success building customer loyalty is just being in constant communication with my team. So to piggyback off Jen's comments on community, even if it's not, a Facebook community or calls, like just checking in with people one-on-one, making sure they know how to use what they've already purchased, really helping them get the most bang for their buck, even if they're not placing a future order. I can tell when I order from other companies who is following up with me because they want me to place another order versus who is following up with me because they genuinely care about my business and want me to get the most out of what I've already purchased from them. So I would encourage you to do that if you're not already doing it. Let's see. I think that's all that I had. We've got tons of time left though, and I really wanted to open it up to anybody on here who feels like they have really loyal customers. Like maybe just think of the most loyal customers that you have right now, the people that are ordering that like 300 PV every single month. Like what makes them a loyal customer? How can we convert other people into loyal customers like that? Or if you've done things in your business that have worked for you, I would love for you to share.
Well, one thing I'll say, just because you kind of just touched on it, Michelle, today I ended up going on and canceling a subscription with another company. And like, I didn't feel any sort of way about it because never once had I heard from anyone from the company. And like, it's a bigger company, so I didn't expect to, but it also made it like so easy to be like, click, goodbye. So it's kind of something to think about, you guys. Like, even if maybe you have someone that was placed on your team by someone in your upline and they're busy and they don't really have time to reach out to people, like you can be that emotional connection for someone so that if they think about canceling, maybe they won't. You know what I mean? Like they have that emotional connection with you because you do genuinely care about helping them use what they have. And I remember when I first signed up with Chelsea, I didn't immediately get on Essential Rewards, and she was like, let's slow down. Like, let's not rush into that. Cause you sign up and you want everything. And she's like, you got this box of oils. Like, let's help you learn how to use these 12 first or 10 or whatever it was when I started. I don't even remember. But that went really far with me. And I think sometimes we forget just helping people use what they have. And a lot of the tips and tricks that Stacy and Rachel talked about earlier, like those are game changers right there. Like, I remember Rachel talked about that little hack with the carrier oil and pouring the whole thing of Seedlings Calm in there. Like, I have always done that ever since then. And so think about the people on your team. Like, they might seem so simple to you, so you never talk about these things, but it can go really far with helping them build their orders and being more loyal, where you're giving them these ways to save money, but also things that are really, really effective in their lives or their kids' lives. So I just wanted to give that little tidbit.
I think we take for granted the fact that we're ordering products, but can pick up our phones and like instantly ask questions about the products that we have. Like when you order things off Amazon, like nobody wants to go read through 5,000 reviews to figure out how to use whatever they purchase, but like to have so many people that you can just text or post on Facebook to help you use what you already have, like it's really valuable. Anybody else have something to share?
A question for you guys. What is, when people first get started with you, Jen and Michelle, do you suggest they jump on subscribe to save right away? Or is it like a case-to-case basis? And what are you teaching your brand partners to do as far as that goes?
So for me personally, I do suggest that they get on it. And I've always pretty much worded it the same way. I'm like, and this is even like from back in the kit days where I'm like, that the kit is great and it is a catalyst for so much change in your life. But I always tell people, like, if you want to see true transformation happening in your life and in your home, subscribe to save is the way to do it. And I always tell people, give it 3 months, give yourself a time limit of 3 months and really pour into that with whatever your budget is. And if you're not seeing any type of change or results, like it's so easy to switch. But I tell them, like, it's like anything, right? Like you start taking a vitamin, you start exercising, you change your diet, like give yourself time for those things to like work and like really start like creating these habits. That's how I try and explain it. I'm like, it's the same thing. So don't sell yourself short. You've already invested this, front money. So follow it through for a few months, like keep those promises you make to yourself. So that's the way I always do it. It's not always successful, but we at least tried.
I don't think it makes any sense to place any order not on subscribe to save, especially for a new customer. Like, so if you think about it, even if, let's say they're ordering a $15 bottle of lemon, right? So if they're ordering that, they're getting it at full retail. Like that's their first order, they're getting it at full retail price. If they order on subscribe to save, they're getting 24% off. If they're ordering 100 PV, they are not only, so they're getting the 24% off regardless, but at 100 PV now, they're getting a free oil. So and they're getting the loyalty rewards points. So in my mind, it doesn't make sense to order not on subscribe to save. But what I do is I also put in my calendar for all my new customers, a reminder for myself, even though they get an email reminder from Young Living that their next order is coming up, I always personally remind them just to make sure, like, yes, I want them on subscribe to save, but I also want to make sure that they, they're not just on subscribe to save to get the discount. Like I want to help them build their next order. So that's kind of how I pitch it to people. And more often than not, people will sign up on subscribe to save just because they see the monetary value in doing it.
Thank you. I'll share one of the things that I did this last year. I wasn't as consistent, but now I have someone helping me with Project Broadcast. I don't know how many of you up here text your team. If you don't have Project Broadcast, then I suppose you could do this in an email, but every Sunday, there's a report pulled of everyone in the upcoming week that is has their subscription that's set to go off. And I need to ask my girl, but she pulls some report where she can specialize it to each person, like literally, and I can put a copy of the text and it's literally like, hey, it's Rachel from Young Living, your support from Young Living. I hope you're doing well. I just wanted to follow through and let you know that your order will be processing at midnight on the 26th. And then we have like a question like, did you want me to walk through some things that you could order this month, and you guys, I'm not doing it any justice. It's worded way better. She helped me craft it, but it's kind of to that, degree, but it goes every Sunday around 4 o'clock. So then I have that whole night to talk to people. And this has been literally, I would say, the biggest thing that's helped my business in the past 3 months. Like out of everything I'm doing, this is the biggest thing. And I'm talking to way more people because even if they're like, no, I'm good, I always text back, or you would always email back, oh, that's wonderful. I just want you to know that I'm always here to help. And thank you so much for being such a loyal member and part of our community. Like just that like touch point, and then sometimes they'll engage back and they'll ask the question. But I've talked through so many ailments. It's just crazy. And now I have like a list of things that I suggest to people, or I'll ask them the questions. Like, are you trying to switch over your home right now? Are you trying to address an ailment, or it's some kind of concern that you might have that I can help walk you through and pair products with? I've sent our YouTube, the Gather and Dwell YouTube, to so many people this week with all the recordings of the calls. So if they have questions about specific things, I'll point them back to our Facebook community, or I send that YouTube, and a lot of them will just binge. But this reminder on text for the Subscribe to Save has been so big. I'm like, now these people, they like regularly text me now, like during the week, and they feel more comfortable asking me a random question because they hear from me every month. So I've done this for 3 months. So every month they hear from me. So even if they didn't have a question last month, maybe they're good, they knew what they're going to order. This month they might ask me a question. So it's almost like I literally have like all these close friends, not close friends, but like we're more comfortable every time we touch in. And I do have to set aside time to speak with them, but I will say this has been one of the biggest things for my business, the biggest thing for me personally the past 3 months. So if you're not sending out those reminders, y'all, and opening yourself up to answer questions, these people, I literally was like, you can come to me, and they're like, I don't want to bother you. So you being the person to ask them if they need help is huge. So just to kind of like follow up with what Jen was saying, that extra touch point, creating that community or just that emotional connection with your people, and then showing gratitude. I don't know, I wish I would have thought of this or been more consistent with this. But if that's not something you're doing, I would highly recommend it.
That's so smart. And it really is pretty easy to do. There's a report I think that you can run in virtual office that'll pull everybody who has an active subscription. And then I don't know if you can filter it before you run the report or after, but you can just filter it in Excel for dates coming up within the next week. And then if you're on Project Broadcast, you can import that list into Project Broadcast. For me, it's still pretty manageable for me to message people like one-off without having to mass text them. But if you have a bigger organization, Project Broadcast is where it's at. And it's so cheap. It's like $15 a month now, I think, but so worth it. Does anybody else have something to share?
Sorry if my video's not great. I'm in my office and my video's in like the wrong place, but I just wanted to add, this was so good and such a great reminder. Thanks, you guys. I've thought about doing it and I just haven't done it yet. So thank you so much for this. I hope everybody's taking notes, and whether you have Project Broadcast or not, it was by the time I hit Platinum is when Project Broadcast became available. Before then, I would literally like individually text people. I'm not even kidding. When they ranked up, when they missed an order, like I remember like my thumbs, like sending out 100 messages. So you could do it, just putting it up there. But something that's worked well for me is sending out snail mail, which is not my favorite thing to do. I really have to be in a headspace where I'm like, okay, this is my day to do it. But I'm telling you, there is something about sending snail mail. Sometimes it'll just be a postcard, and I'll do it to like a group of people, maybe within a leg, or maybe to people who haven't ordered in a little while, or people about to go inactive. But just like sending them a postcard or a sample or something, there's just something about that personal touch for someone to get something in the mail. So I think it really just depends on your budget and what you can do. Stacy actually just posted something, I think last week, she had these little envelopes, these little Mylar envelopes, and she put samples of Luscious Lemon in there. So it seals flat. She puts it in like a regular envelope, right? Where she just puts like a first class stamp on it. Like literally it's a stamp in an envelope and just those Mylar bags. You guys, you could do this with promo oils that you got for free, right? You could do it with so many different things, but I just love that sort of idea of like sending out samples. She's so good with that. I'm like, oh goodness, I can't do that. So you need to work with like what you can do. I will buy the Thieves toothpaste samples from Young Living. Like, I think it comes in like a 10 pack, and I will send that out through the first class mail, right? Like with an envelope. You could buy the Coolazole pain cream. So something that I do is, you know, for my customers who order, I'll send them like a little welcome gift, right? If they spend 100 PB or more. And then the next month, I'll usually send them a sample of something, whether it's the Thieves household cleaner or the Coolazole pain cream. Usually it's the toothpaste, because I feel like that's an easy one to kind of get on right away. But just kind of sending them something and being very high touch like that, I think could be really great. So don't discount snail mail. I consider myself a very techie person. I actually don't like paper, and I don't like physical things. Maybe that's like the minimalist in me, but it really does go a long way with people. And I will tell you, when I get snail mail, right, from like my upline or other people, and like it's handwritten, I'm like, oh, this is so special. Like, how sweet, they sent me a card or a postcard. So don't discount the snail mail, and think about doing it in a way that seems very manageable. Maybe it's, you know, once a week you're sending out 10 postcards or 10 handwritten notes or 10 samples, like whatever that kind of looks like for you, it really goes a long way.
And I'll just remind y'all, only because I was at the receiving end of some of Tracy's snail mail, and Ashley's really good at snail mail too. But like, I was in a space where all week I was getting bills and getting like political mail and getting like, it was just like every time I went out to the mailbox, it was just icky. And like, people nowadays with correspondence, it's DMs, or I mean, it's one more thing that pulls you to your phone, where maybe like if you're trying to put your phone down, it's just so nice. It was just so nice to get that envelope from Tracy. I think it was a bottle of lavender, but it was literally like, I just remember it because the days leading up to that, the walk to the mailbox was not fun, you know, because it's just, the mailbox is full of crap these days, unless you're getting like happy boxes from Young Living. But really, like 90% of the stuff people get is just like blah. So I feel like now more than ever, snail mail would make a bigger impression, because you're not competing with other good things. Like, you're this beautiful fish amongst like all the other, whatever. That's a horrible analogy, but you know what I'm saying? Whereas I feel like it's probably a little bit harder to get attention maybe on social media when you're trying to like show up, but like showing up in someone's mailbox with like a fun envelope, that sticks with you, especially if they get lots of other junk. So I just remember how Tracy made me feel when I opened that, and just, it was like huge. It was huge. So thank you for that reminder, Tracy, because I really do not like to do happy mail. I used to do it, and I need to pick it back up. So I think giving people easy things that send well, like those, maybe Stacy could tell us more about those envelopes. I know that people did them for a while in the Grow group, but like easy things. Jen, you do postcards, right?
Yeah, I've been doing them through Vistaprint. This is the 4th consecutive month that I'm doing it. So I'm really hoping that, like, you know, after 3 straight months, people are like really invested in that. But I forget who said it. Maybe Tracy did, but like knowing the things that you're good at. And I am also, sounds like a trend here, not great at snail mail. Like, I could order 300 postcards and they will sit on my desk until the day that they get thrown in the trash. They will never go out. I just know that about myself. So now I just learned to just import my mailing list on Vistaprint and pay to have them sent for me, because then I know that they're actually going out, they're ending up in people's mailbox. And so, I mean, depending on what your budget is, like, they do that for you, which is an easy button. And I know Tracy a lot of the time says, like, is the juice worth the squeeze? And like, for me, putting a stamp and label on 300 postcards every month is just like not a good use of my time. But Vistaprint does give you the option to mail it for you. So at least there's that, if you guys are similar, where you're like, this will be a waste of my money unless they send it for me. So yeah, I've been doing that and getting some good feedback. I've noticed in certain pockets that I'm sending it to, People are either upping their order or ordering when they haven't ordered in a while. So we'll see. I'm hoping month 4 really pays off.
So you just do like diffuser recipes?
Yeah. Excuse me. I bought that spring pack from Clover and Clem on Etsy. And so
Yeah.
it's like the whole thing, and it's cool because it's like diffuser recipes on some of them. And then on the back, it'll show you how to make like a room spray or soft scrub or whatever with some of those same oils. So I think it's a good variety depending on how people use their oils.
And who are y'all sending your Happy Mail to? Is it just different every month? Are you doing it like people not on STS?
I've pretty much been doing it to my entire team outside of Tiffany's leg because all of her leg leaders are doing the same thing. So it's a big chunk of the team, but for me, I'm just looking like where either people don't have like solid leadership or, just places where I just really want to show them gratitude. But it's been the same group the entire 3 months. So we'll see how it goes.
I think that's my problem is like tracking who I sent what to. And then I'm like, did I send, so I guess if you can import, you can run reports in your virtual office, and then in Vistaprint, are you able to categorize it? Like this, I don't know if they have different reports that you can just categorize, and so that when you send off postcards, you can just pick which one. Does that make sense?
I don't know. I haven't really played around with it, if I'm being honest. I usually just pull the exact same report that I do every month. Yeah. Just so I get like the new people, but there might be a way in Vistaprint. I just haven't played around with that. I'm not sure.
I don't know if they saved it, Tracy, if they saved like your people with each, but that makes sense. You want to get the new people, so you would need to pull it every month.
I was just reading a comment from Ashley. You guys, that's something with postcards. I've noticed the same thing. Like a lot of people don't even acknowledge that they got it. I think out of like the 300 that I sent last month, maybe like 5 people actually like mentioned it. But like I said, I have seen orders either go up or people ordering that haven't ordered before. So it's just interesting kind of watching those trends really closely. And I'm not really like a stats person, but I've been watching it because I'm putting so much money into this every month that I want to see if it's paying off in these pockets. And I feel like it is a little bit, but I'm using that template that you gave for Project Broadcast. I'm going to reach out tomorrow. Does anyone have anything else they want to add or questions they have? We have about 10 more minutes left, but we can also kind of close it out if everyone feels good about this and doesn't have anything else they want to add. We good? All right, you guys, thank you so much for coming. We hope that this was helpful for you. Michelle, Tracy, Rachel, anyone have anything to add? All right, you guys, we'll see you next week. Have a good night.